Hi, this is Alex Van Stone, and welcome to Next Week in Nova. Today we're covering shows from Monday, February 10th through Sunday, February 16th, 2025. This is my second episode of the show, and want to give you guys kind of a sense of what I'm going for here. Is I really want, when you're watching this show, when I'm reading off concerts, I want it to feel like it did for me as a kid when I would wake up to there being snow outside and would turn on local news and hope to see the blue box with the white text listing my school as being closed for a snow day. At the center of today's story is rock and pop icon Madonna. She has a bunch of connections to the movie Pet Sematary, as well as the Deftones. This week's movie is Stephen King's Pet Sematary, directed by filmmaker Mary Lambert, starring Denise Crosby. This film came out in 1989 and features music by the Ramones. This week's album is a classic. It's the 1995 freshman release of the Deftones, Adrenaline. And for this week's guitar workshop, I will be playing I Wanna Be Sedated by the Ramones off their third record, Road to Ruin, in 1978. This week's book review will be Punk Rock Blitzkrieg, My Life as a Ramone by Marky Ramone. This is an autobiography and memoir where he goes through his experience of being a musician in the New York City rock and roll scene, as well as through all of his years in and out of the Ramones. And I'd like to remind everybody, I have a show coming up Friday, February 28th at the Salisbury Center in Manassas, Virginia. We've got Around the Fur, a Deftones tribute band coming all the way from Delaware, Prime Moose, a Primus tribute band based here in Northern Virginia, and the first show of Ryan Ramone and the Cretins, a Ramone tribute. This week's movie is Pet Sematary from 1989. This movie is about a ancient burial ground that brings the dead back to life, and when you bring the dead back to life, they're not always the friendliest. Now, in watching this movie, the cat in it named Winston Churchill, or called Church by the family, it looks a lot like my own cat, so every time this cat showed up trying to be scary, I just thought, oh, do you want some kibbles? Great work by the animal trainer in this movie. The cat did impeccable work. This movie started out with the book Pet Sematary by Stephen King. This was a bestseller at the New York Times. The Ramones were author Stephen King's favorite punk rock band. While they were on tour in New England, they visited his home shortly after the success of Pet Sematary in print. And they started talking about the possibilities of a movie. Dee Dee Ramone disappeared and speed-read the book and wrote the song Pet Sematary that is in the end credits of the movie. And in their discussions, the Ramones suggested director Mary Lambert, who had been doing incredible work for Madonna's recent music videos. Mary Lambert worked extensively on Madonna's music videos and a bunch of other things. Her first feature film, Siesta, came out just a few years before this, and this movie, Pet Sematary, really launched her career, and she's still working today, leading crews in Hollywood around the world as a filmmaker. Actor Denise Crosby leads the cast as the mother in this movie. I personally, and I think a lot of other people, mostly know her as Tasha Yar on Star Trek The Next Generation, and also Tasha Yar's evil twin sister in later seasons of Star Trek The Next Generation. Next up, we have actor Fred Gwynne in the cast as the ominous neighbor across the street. Now, you may know Fred Gwynne from his role as Herman Munster in The Munsters, where he plays the Frankenstein dad to a all-classic monster sitcom family. And before that, he played Officer Francis Muldoon in Car 54, Where Are You?, a sitcom similar to Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He does a great job in this role. It's great seeing him something a little more serious, as a lot of his career had been in television comedy. Mary Lambert got connected to this project through extensive work with pop icon Madonna. She directed the Like a Prayer and Like a Virgin music videos, and the great work she did on these videos was noticed by the Ramones, also in the New York City rock and roll community. And that's how Mary got the recommendation to direct Pet Sematary in 1989. Now, honorable mention in discussing this movie is costume designer Marlene Stewart. Marlene Stewart worked with Mary Lambert on a lot of Madonna's music videos, as well as other music videos, and also on Mary Lambert's first feature film, Siesta, with Ellen Barkin. Also in her career, some highlights are the Doors film with Val Kilmer, Falling Down with Michael Douglas, Coyote Ugly, and Tropic Thunder. So be on the lookout for M. Stewart or Marlene Stewart as a costume designer credit. She does great work in a variety of genres. Now, speaking of Marlene Stewart's work as costumer, let's get into just how many overalls are in this movie. Here we see the old man across the street, Fred Gwynn, in some dirty, beat-up, faded overalls. We've got the daughter of the family, Ellie or Ellen, in her crisp Oshkosh Bagosh overalls here. And then we're getting to my favorite character, Gage, the 2-year-old son. Now, I had a unique experience in watching this movie. I was Gage's age in 1989 when this movie came out. And as I said before, the cat looks a lot like my current pet cat. So, in a lot of ways, to me, this movie is the story of a cat that is sick of putting up with the humans, so he comes back from the dead along with his child best friend to just kick grown-up butt. We can see Gage coming back from the dead here as his evil, scarred mirror version of himself. And another highlight of this element of the film is incredible work by the effects team with the puppets and models, which just this prosthetic model of the dummy out of context and well lit, I love it. Great job to the practical effects team on this movie. The work really holds up, and it shows how when you do something practically and in camera, it can really, and light it well, that it can sell a lot and it holds up over time. One of my favorite lines in this movie, now, all I'm giving you is a still image in this line. I won't give any spoilers away for those of you who have not seen this 1989 film, but this character runs around in this room screaming the line, "Never get out of bed again," which I think we've all felt that way in the morning. So just, think of this image when you think to yourself the words, "I never want to get out of bed again." I also want to give an honorable mention to cinematographer Peter Stein. Kind of what launched him into the horror genre was his work on Friday the 13th Part 2 as cinematographer. And later after this film, he would go on to be cinematographer on Mr. Nanny with Hulk Hogan. Everybody in camera lighting and grip on Pet Sematary. Incredible work, really nice dolly moves, beautiful work on the focus wheel. This is just a beautifully shot movie, and seeing the high-resolution scan of it on the DVD where I watched the film was an absolute treat. Just really visually rich, great contrast, great backlighting, and every frame helps push the story ahead. And to even talk about that with the editing, I felt like a goal for a lot of filmmakers just to make every shot or every cut of a film seem like a sentence from the screenplay or the book. And it really did feel like, for the most part of the pacing of this film, that every cut was a sentence. And that's part of what made this film move at such a steady pace and be so enjoyable and just keep you peeled to the screen. Then to give some more context to this movie, Pet Sematary, coming out in 1989, some other movies that were out that same year, we've got Batman, Field of Dreams, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Rain Man, Lethal Weapon 2, Twins, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Working Girl, When Harry Met Sally, Back to the Future 2, Dead Poets Society, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Uncle Buck, and Roadhouse, and so many more. 1989, an absolutely incredible year for movies. I want to remind you, I have a show Friday, February 28th at the Salisbury Center in Manassas, Virginia, featuring Around the Fur playing a Deftones tribute set, Prime Moose playing a Primus tribute set, and Ryan Ramone and the Cretins playing a Ramones tribute set. Cover is $20, and tickets will be available soon through the Wild Style Network. Next, we're jumping ahead to 1995. We're going to look at some of the top performers in the box office to just get a glimpse at the culture of the time. So we've got Batman Forever, Ace Ventura, Pocahontas, Toy Story, Braveheart, James Bond GoldenEye, Bad Boys, Clueless, and Pulp Fiction. So many iconic films across so many different genres. This was a great year for creative work in American culture. A lot of top-tier stuff happening and a lot of people going to the movies. So jumping over from movies to music, top of the charts in 1995 on the Billboard Top 100 is Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio, famously parodied as Amish Paradise by Weird Al Yankovic a few years later. Just behind him on the a few slots down on the Billboard Top 100 for 1995, we have pop icon Madonna's single Take a Bow. She has a lot of other showings, titles on the Billboard Top 100 for 1995 as well. It was really a year where she was in her full power. Also, across the Atlantic in Sweden, At the Gates put out their freshman release, Slaughter of the Soul. Now, this is a really amazing seminal metal record, and if you want to hear shredding riffs and just powerful tone, go check out At the Gates, Slaughter of the Soul from 1995. And then in California, here in the United States, Rancid put out and Out Come the Wolves. Now this is a completely seminal and just essential punk record with some of the greatest punk bass lines on any album. I highly recommend checking this one out. It was really influential on me when I was first learning to play instruments as a middle schooler. In 1995, DC turned New York City hardcore punk rock band Bad Brains put out their 6th studio album, God of Love. Now this album was put out on Madonna's Rivian Records. And Madonna kind of being plugged more into the punk side of the rock and roll world at that time leads me to the record we're talking about this week, which is the Deftones freshman release, Adrenaline, from 1995. So around this time in the mid-90s, the Deftones are trying to get started in Sacramento, where they're from, and nu metal's kind of taking off. There's the 80s pop is fading into 90s alternative, and this band doesn't exactly fit into things, but they connect with a lot of people. Every time they try to get a gig in Southern California, it's not going great. They played to an empty Barnes & Noble. Deftones had some unexpected luck at a music showcase in Los Angeles that they played. The headliner that played before them took all the crowd with them when they went off stage, and so only about 7 to 10 people were remaining in the crowd when the Deftones played. But they still played to the best of their ability to the empty room, out of respect for the people that were still there. One of those people still there turned out to be in Madonna's inner circle. That person got their demo tape to Madonna, which led to them getting an audition for her, which totally changed their lives, and they later got to tour opening for Kiss and a bunch of other really big bands. And one of the things the Deftones struggled with those first few years and albums was getting matched with other people that had heavy, similar guitar elements but just weren't quite the same genre. Like I said earlier, a lot of people will associate them with the nu metal music of that time, but I see them as a little bit more of an intersection of punk and hardcore and shoegaze at that time. It's a lot of palm muting and effects, and there's a lot of reverb, and the vocals just sound very distant and buried in the mix. This music really connected a lot with the skateboarding scene throughout the United States. And at least for me, the people on the younger side of Generation X really, really loved this band. And there's just countless musicians here in the DC area that I worked with growing up that were just a few years older than me that were always in a Deftones shirt, and they continue to have a big impact on a lot of people. Now, a band you may have heard of that often cites the Deftones as a core influence in interviews is Paramore. They are a band out of Nashville that kind of plays gospel-influenced pop rock stuff. It's a lot of fun, and if you get into playing it as a bassist or guitarist, you might find it is deceptively more complex music than you're expecting it to be. So go check out Riot by Paramore. It's a great record by them. And then once again, I'm going to remind you, I have a show Friday, February 28th, at the Salisbury Center in Manassas, Virginia, with Around the Fur, a Deftones tribute band, Prime Moose, a Primus tribute band, and Ryan Ramone and the Cretins, a Ramones tribute band. And cover is $20, doors at 7 p.m., show 8 p.m. Find out more about it on my website. For today's guitar workshop, I'm going to be playing I Wanna Be Sedated by the Ramones off their 1978 Road to Ruin album. Now, across the pond in the UK in 1978, punk band Sham 69 puts out their full-length That's Life, which I would say exists in pretty stark punk contrast to what the Ramones did on Road to Ruin. This is also the year that the Misfits start recording their first demo. You can hear some of those on the CI Recording 78 is how they're labeled on Spotify, and probably labeled similarly on Apple Music or Amazon, wherever you listen. And then to give you some more context of 1978, here are some of the top movies. We have Animal House, which was one of the top earners at the box office. I mentioned them last week as being a influence in what got the movie Rock and Roll High School made that same year. And then also Close Encounters of the Third Kind with Richard Dreyfuss. It's a lot of John Travolta this year with both Grease and Saturday Night Fever. And then for all you fantasy heads out there, we've got Star Wars: A New Hope and the Lord of the Rings animated film. So this is kind of what's going on and what's in the zeitgeist at the time that the Ramones record and put out this album, Road to Ruin. Now, on this 1978 release, this is the first album where they work with drummer Marky Ramone. Now, the band is fronted by Joey Ramone, who actually in their first few practices started out both drumming and singing and found that he needed to pick one or the other, so he focused on singing. So it's interesting to think of the relationship that builds whenever a new drummer is coming in, when that's kind of how you started within the band. And I think it led to a really great many years and albums of collaboration between the two of them. One thing drummer Marky Ramone contributed on this song, I Wanna Be Sedated, is he talked about how the song isn't about being sedated, it's about feeling overwhelmed and feeling the need to be sedated. And so he suggested a more manic tempo for how they played it, and that really comes through on the record. Now, I'm just gonna go through some basics of rock and roll instrument history now. This is probably stuff a lot of people already know, but my thought in sharing this is I was very lucky in percussion class as a 7th grader. I had a friend that was way cooler than me that introduced me to the Ramones and the Misfits and all sorts of other punk rock stuff, and not everybody gets lucky enough to sit next to somebody super cool while learning to play the snare drum. So, in talking about this is the Telecaster. Now, the Telecaster was the first mass-produced electric guitar that was put out in 1950 and 1951. Now, to get some context for this is designed by Leo Fender, who the Fender Guitar Company is named after. Now, he had been repairing instruments for many years and designed the Telecaster as something that was really easy to modify and swap out parts and repair individual pieces, rather than if one thing goes wrong, the whole instrument is screwed up. And I think an important thing to think of with rock and roll and guitar-based music is, what did the electric guitar seek to replace? So prior to this, there was the lap steel guitar, which is similar to the 6-string guitar everybody knows now, but you play it on a tabletop. And then also the more flamenco finger-picking style Spanish acoustic guitar. So the Telecaster was really trying to take elements of both of these instruments and make something portable for a band leader to be able to play. Now, I'll also note, in talking about this moment in music history as electric instruments are getting put out, something I'm a stickler for is, rather than referring to a P-bass as a bass guitar, I'm pretty staunch in referring to it as an electric bass. Because rather than seeing it as a guitar that has less strings and plays lower notes, if you see it as a smaller version of the instrument you see here on the left, an upright bass, this is so much easier to travel with than an upright bass, or to get up and just get upstairs into a gig and things. So really revolutionary for the rhythm section of bands. Now, the core foundation of the song we're playing this week, I Wanna Be Sedated, is the power chord. Now, in a scale, in Western music theory, there are 8 notes. What a power chord is the 1st and 5th note of a scale together in what's called a major 5th chord. Now, you can also play the octave, which is the fret immediately under that 5th chord. So these are 2 frets, 2 spots apart on the guitar. So this is one of the simplest positions you can do with your hand, and it is the foundation for rock music. And think about that electric guitar getting invented and being able to amplify this so that it is louder than a drum set, or being able to compete with a drum set. So here you can see these are amplifiers for a guitar. And again, this is probably basic stuff a lot of people already know, but there are some people out there who don't and are interested to find out about it. So on the left, we have a combo amplifier where the speaker and the amplifier is all in one unit. And what is on the right is a stack. Now, a stack has the cabinet with the speakers in it, and then the head that actually amplifies the signal as a separate piece, and then there's a cable that runs between them. And again, as I was saying, the electric guitar coming to prominence and people being able to play simple chords like the power chord loud enough that they can be heard over drums really is the foundation of what led to rock and roll music becoming what it is. Which leads me to my next point, is talking about distortion. Now this is a distortion pedal, which is something outside of an amp you can use to get the tone you want. But what distortion is where you are changing the signal from making guitar sound like a heavenly little harp to sounding kind of mean and grimy. And that, with the amplification of an amp and with the power chord, is just kind of how you get that mean screaming sound of rock and roll. Which takes us back to our song for this week, I Want to Be Sedated by the Ramones, off their 1978 record, Road to Ruin. This song was a lot of fun to learn. For the most part, it is all power chords, with the exception on 2 short strumming solo breaks where there are just 2-note chords that are pretty simple to play. I've worked on this one for about a week and a half. It's been really fun to get into, and similar to Blitzkrieg Bop that I worked on last week, this is another song that's been in tons of commercials and movies and TV shows, and it's just really in the cultural ether of rock and roll around the world. So I highly suggest you check out I Want to Be Sedated by the Ramones, and if you want to challenge yourself, teach it to yourself on your favorite instrument. Now, as I do these guitar workshops, I don't make any claim to be an expert at the guitar. There are people all over YouTube that can play guitar better than me, know music theory better than me, but I'm having a lot of fun teaching myself to play again and connecting with a lot of classics. So in doing these guitar workshops, I'm just trying to bring you on that journey with me. If you find it interesting, check it out. If you don't, no one's making you watch it. Don't say anything mean to me. I'm doing my best. Punk rock Blitzkrieg, My Life as a Ramone by Marky Ramone. Now, I'm a little late to listening to this audiobook, and I really enjoyed it. I felt like I learned a lot about the band. I learned a lot about who Mark is as a friend to his friends, and it was just a really great, compelling story that was well told. As I said before, Marky Ramone joined the band for their 3rd record, Road to Ruin, in 1978, was with them for several years, and left the band for about 4 years in the mid-'80s when he was struggling with some personal challenges, and came back just shortly before their Brain Drain album in 1989 that featured the song Pet Sematary, that is in the movie Pet Sematary, which also includes their song Sheena Was a Punk Rocker off their 2nd record, Rocket to Russia, in 1977. Also enjoyable in this book was learning about the later hip-hop career of bassist Dee Dee Ramone as Dee Dee King. One of his big singles was called Mashed Potato Time. Now, Dee Dee was a brilliant songwriter, incredible bassist and guitarist, and somebody who struggled with substance abuse, which is something that Mark talked about his own struggle with, as well as the other band members, throughout this book. And one of the things I really appreciated in this book is he just kept talking about these little things he was doing to keep showing up for the other guys as they got later into life, and the band kind of pulled them close together and pushed them apart at different moments. So again, this book is called Punk Rock Blitzkrieg, My Life as a Ramone by Marky Ramone. I suggest checking out the audiobook or getting a print copy for yourself if you want to learn more about the story of the Ramones. And a reminder, on Friday, February 28th, doors at 7 p.m., show at 8 p.m., $20 cover, I have Around the Fur, a Deftones tribute band playing, along with Prime Moose, a Primus tribute band, and Ryan Ramone and the Cretins, a Ramones tribute band, and this show again is happening Friday, February 28th at the Salisbury Center in Manassas, Virginia. All right, and so we are now getting into talking about shows from Monday, February 10th, 2025 through Sunday, February 16th, 2025. Our first show is going to be at Jammin' Java in Vienna, Virginia. Tickets are going from $15 to $25. We've got Candy Carpenter. She's got a single called Nervous System. It's a really catchy bop about being overwhelmed, playing along with Z Machine, who is a pop rock electronic artist. He's got a really dancey top song on Spotify called Good Boy. And then Kaylee Shore is also playing the show. Her song Fight Like a Girl has 3.3 million streams on Spotify. It's a great country ballad. And then rock and country artist with an alto voice, Jenna DeVries, is also playing the gig. So go check that out if you're in Vienna. All right, and on Tuesday, February 11th, at the Anthem in Washington, D.C., we have Molchat Doma. They are from Minsk, Belarus, and their name means Houses Are Silenced. I would say these guys are for fans of Sisters of Mercy and other goth industrial music. I have a link to their Spotify in my website, alexandervanstone.com. They are playing along with Sextile, which is where guitar and synth collide for this EDM industrial act. And our next show is Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 at Tally Ho in Leesburg. We've got Marty Friedman. Marty Friedman is the guitarist from Megadeth, and he is playing with Nikki Stringfield, who, this is her solo tour, but she plays guitar in Iron Maiden's, an all-female Iron Maiden tribute act. And then her frequent collaborator, Patrick Kennison, who has a country and metal influence, is also playing the show. Now, also on Tuesday, February 11th, at the Black Cat in DC, we've got Tim Heidecker and the Very Good Band with DJ Doug Pound. Tim Heidecker, you might know him from the Tim and Eric awesome show, Great Job, that was on Adult Swim for many years. He also has the Office Hours podcast and just does a ton of stand-up and other shows. So go check this out if you enjoy his music and comedy. And at the Birchmere in Alexandria, we have Madhu Mokhtar and Janel Lepin. I apologize if I'm saying Madhu Mokhtar's name wrong. They're a rock act with members from Niger, and they incorporate traditional folk and rock instrumentation. And they're playing along with cellist, singer, and composer Janel Lepin. Tickets are going for $35, and again, it's at the Birchmere in Alexandria. On Wednesday, February 12th, 2025, at Jimmy's Old Town Tavern in Herndon, we have an open mic. So that's at 8 p.m. and it's all ages. You can get more information about getting in touch with the people running that if you go to Jimmy's Old Town Tavern website, which is listed on my website to get it. On Thursday, February 13th, 2025, at Jammin' Java in Vienna, Virginia, we have a Valentine's Day Eve, a Songwriters Circle tribute to Taylor Swift. So we've got a bunch of people playing on this one. We've got Todd Wright, who's a softer rock artist, Ryan Wright, a Virginia-based artist with angsty lyrics and synthy hooks to her music, and Juliet Lloyd, roots-infused folk rock. Lena Tranham does folk rock, Ashley Bangs, and some angsty pop from Maddie Etrich. Shows at 6 p.m., doors at 6 p.m., show at 7:30, tickets are $16. Links to all of that information is available on my website, alexandervanstone.com. Next up, we have a show on Thursday, February 13th, 2025 at the Anthem in DC. It is Pink Sweats and Aquila. This is a R&B singer with some guitar elements to his music, and then opening for him is Aquila, who's a Toronto-based R&B artist. Check out her song Bloom. And links to both of their Spotify are available on my website, as well as to where you can get tickets. Tickets are going for $40, doors at 6:30, show at 8. Next up on Thursday, February 13th, we have a show at Tally Ho in Leesburg, Oh He Dead, a funk rock band, and Verge, a kind of synth rock band. This show's going at 7 p.m. Tickets are $20 to $45, depending which section you choose to sit in. And at the Black Cat in Washington, D.C. on Thursday, February 13th, there is a Venus party, a Galentine's Day dance party. So, If you don't have Valentine's Day plans, but you want to go dance with your buds, the Black Cat's the spot on Thursday, February 13th. On Thursday, February 13th, at the Howard Theater in DC, we have Holvey and No Big Deal. Now, Holvey is a gospel hip-hop artist, and No Big Deal is also a hip-hop artist. I have links to both their Spotifys and where you can get tickets on my website. Jimmy's Old Town Tavern on Thursday, February 13th. The Blair Witch Project will be playing a series of covers, and I believe there is no cover to get in, and they start playing at 6 p.m. And that's in Herndon at Jimmy's Old Town Tavern. Next up at the Birchmere, we have Over the Rhine playing infamous love songs. Now, Over the Rhine are an airy art pop act. I have a link to their Spotify on my website, as well as to where you can get tickets. Tickets are going for $39.50. And just a reminder, Friday, February 28th, at the Salisbury Center in Manassas, Virginia, I have a show with Around the Fur, a Deftones tribute band coming in from Delaware, Prime Moose, a Primus tribute band from here in Northern Virginia, and Ryan Ramone and the Cretans, a Ramones tribute band from here in Northern Virginia. And again, that's Friday, February 28th, doors at 7 p.m., show at 8 p.m., cover $20 at the Salisbury Center in Manassas, Virginia. Now on Friday, February 14th, there's an early show at the 9:30 Club starting at 6 p.m., tickets $28. It is folk artist Michael Marky with Maryland-based folk artist opening up Ashley Kutcher. And again, that's at 6 p.m., tickets are going for $28. And the later show on Friday, February 14th, Valentine's Day at the 9:30 Club in DC is a Broadway rave. So if you want to go out to dance versions of your favorite Broadway songs, this is the Theater Kid dance night for you. Tickets are $25 and doors are at 10. Also on Valentine's Day at the Black Cat, there is Chad America's annual Valentine's Day rock and roll dance party. I couldn't get too many details about this, but it was advertised as if this has been a tradition at the Black Cat for many years. It sounds like it's a lot of fun. The few shows I've been to at that venue since moving to the area, I've really enjoyed. Go check this one out. And at the Howard Theater on February 14th, there is the Sweet Spot Burlesque. Tickets for this are going from $40 to $60, doors at 7, show at 8 p.m. And at the State Theater in Falls Church, Virginia, Nashville Nights will be playing a set of country covers. So a bunch of country hits through the night. Tickets are $16 in advance or $19 on show day, door at 7 p.m., show at 8:30. At the Birchmere, there will be a Valentine's Day concert with DC-based R&B artist Kevin Ross. Show starts 7:30 p.m. and tickets are going for $65. Okay, Saturday, February 15th at the 9:30 Club in DC, Barty's Strange, they're a fusion of rock, country, and hip-hop, will be playing at 6 p.m. for an early show. Tickets are going for $25. They have a late event at the 9:30 Club on Saturday, February 15th called the Gimme Gimme Disco, a dance party inspired by ABBA. So if you want to put on your favorite 70s look and go out for a disco dance night, this is the night to hit up, February 15th at the 9:30 Club in DC. Saturday, February 15th at Tally Ho in Leesburg, Virginia, we have That Arena Rock Show, a celebration of 70s and 80s rock. So if you want to hear all your favorite classic rock ballads from the 70s and 80s, check this show out. Doors at 7. Tickets are going from $20 to $50. On Saturday, February 15th at Jam and Java in Vienna, Virginia, we have Ellis Paul. This is an all-ages show. Tickets are going for $30. On Saturday the 15th at the Howard Theater in DC, we have Simande and Bathe. Simande is a UK funk act. I have a link to their Spotify on my website, and Bathe is an R&B act. I also have a link to their music. This show starts at 7. Doors are at 7. Show at 8. Tickets are going from $12.50 to $130. Next up on Saturday the 15th at the Birchmere, Kevin Ross, DC-based R&B artist, will be playing another set, and once again I have links to his music if you're not already familiar on my website. Tickets are going for $65, show at 7:30 p.m. At Tally Ho on Sunday, February 16th in Leesburg, the Warped Tour Band, the Ultimate Warped Tour Tribute, will be playing a bunch of covers from all the different bands that used to play Warped Tour. This should be an exciting one, as Warped Tour is finally coming back this next year. It was such a pivotal experience for so many of us growing up going to it when it was around. Sunday, February 16th, 2025 at the Howard Theater in DC, we have Eric Bellinger with the Around the World Tour. Eric Bellinger is an R&B artist. I have links to his music on my website. Doors at 7, show at 8. Tickets are going from $30 to $130. Link for tickets on the website as well. Sunday, February 16th at Jam and Java in Vienna, Virginia, there's an acoustic evening with Smallwood and Fath. They're a folk act. Doors are at 4:30 p.m., show at 6. Tickets are going from $20 to $30. And once again, I want to remind you that Friday, February 28th, I have a show at the Salisbury Center in Manassas, Virginia with Around the Fur, a Deftones tribute band, Prime Moose, a Primus tribute band, and Ryan Ramone and the Cretins, a Ramones tribute band, and that is Friday, February 28th at the Salisbury Center in Manassas, Virginia. Cover $20. Doors at 7, show at 8 p.m. All right, thanks for joining us on Next Week in Nova. I'll see you next week, and I hope to run into you at a gig.